Hey guys, welcome to Dev Domain. In today's video, we are going to learn about yield method in Thread. So let's start. So yield method is used to pause the currently running thread and give the chance to other threads of the same or the higher priority to run it. Suppose we have two threads, T1 and T2, and both have the same priority. And suppose we use yield method on T2, then the T2 will stop its execution until the T1 completes its task. After the T1 completes its task, then T2 will start executing. So it puts the thread into the waiting state, and after other threads complete its task, then that thread will come again in running state. So let's see one example. Suppose you want to buy ice cream from a shop. Okay, so you are standing in a queue. Suppose your chance is next to have a ice cream from that shop. The person behind you is in hurry. Okay, so he has some work. Okay, or his daughter is suppose crying and she wants ice cream as early as he can. So suppose uh, he wants the ice cream earlier, okay, than you. Then you can say to that person, okay, so you can go first and take the ice cream. I will wait, and after that you can get your ice cream. So the yield method is same only. Yield method stops its execution for some time, and after other threads complete its task, then it completes its task. Now let's see some important points related to the yield method. So yield method is a static method, and to call the yield method we use thread.yield method. Okay, so like this we call the yield method. The yield method tells to the thread scheduler. So thread scheduler is nothing but the intermediator. So it tells to that I'm okay to pause now. After other threads complete its task, then I will complete my execution. Then it's just a hint, okay, not a command. The scheduler may or may not be pause the current thread. So yield method is not an command, it is just an hint. So let's take an example. Suppose we have two threads, T1 and T2, and we use yield method to T1. Okay, it is not necessary that T1 will pause its execution after completing the task of T2, then the T1 task will start executing. So it is not necessary. It may or may not be pause the T1 thread execution. So it is totally depend on the computing power. So next, yield method helps in better CPU utilization and fairness in thread execution. Also, it is used to utilize the CPU better and execute all the threads fairly when it is used. So when thread does not have critical work and can let other run. When a thread does not have any critical work, other threads can be executed. So at that time the yield method can be used. Then to test the concurrency behavior or improve threads cooperation in multithreading. So it is used to improve the cooperations between the threads, and it is also used to test the concurrency. Now let's see some practical. So as you can see, I have created a class as a demo, and I have extended the thread class, and we have taken one method here as run. In that we have run a loop and it will goes to 1 to 5, and it will get the thread's name, okay, of the current thread, and it will just print it. And I will remove this I. It will just print the name of the thread for 5 times. I will set the name because it will take the by default name. So t1 dot set name, and here I will set the name as thread 1, and similarly for thread 2. So this is thread 2. It will take the current thread and it will get its name. It will print the name for 5 times, and in the main method I have created 2 threads, t1 and t2. Okay, and here we have just set the name for the thread. So the t1's name is thread 1 and t2's name is thread 2, and here we have just start the thread. So the task of t1 and t2 is to print the name of the thread for 5 times. Now I will run the code. Okay, so let's see what has happened. So we can predict the output of the thread. So it has run t2 thread first, and then it has run t1 thread. So I will run it again. So each time I will run, the output can be different. See, now t1 thread has executed first, and then t2 thread has been executed second. So now I will again run the thread. Now I will use yield method. So I will use yield method for t1 thread. So t1 dot yield method. Okay, so it is used to pause the t1 task. Okay, and t2 will execute first, then t1 will execute after that. So it will print thread 2 first, and then it will print thread 1. While printing the thread 2, thread 1 is in waiting state, and after that thread 2 will be printed. So it is not necessary, it is not an command. We can take as assumption as t1 will be in waiting state, and after the task completion of the t2 thread, then t1 will execute. So we can take just an assumption. Okay, so we'll run the code again. Okay, so here you can see first t2 thread has been printed, and after that t1 thread is printed for 5 times. Okay, so I will run it again. So here, as you can see, t1 has printed first and then t2 has printed. Yeah, so it is not an command. So yield method is not an command. So it is just an, we can take as assumption. So here the priority of t1 and t2 is same. So if we give the priority to the threads, then it will print first and second. This is all about the yield method. So thank you for watching this video.